Imagine this. In a dusty classroom in rural Iloilo, where leaky roofs drip during monsoons and chalkboards crack from years of use, a dedicated teacher named Josette B.O. scribbles lessons on biology with whatever scraps she can find. Her students huddled around shared textbooks that smell of age and ambition, while critics back in the cities label Filipino educators as stuck in the past, relying on rote memorization and outdated methods that leave kids unprepared for a fast-changing world. But then, in a glittering ceremony halfway across the globe, B.O. steps onto a stage in San Jose, California, clutching the 2002 Intel International Science and Engineering Fair Excellence in Teaching Award as the first Asian winner ever, a victory so profound that astronomers name a planet after her, Planet B.O., orbiting between Mars and Jupiter, proving once and for all that these so-called outdated teachers hold the stars in their hands. And by the end of this story, you'll see how their triumphs are rewriting the narrative of Philippine education, inspiring you to cheer for the underdogs who turn skepticism into stardust. For years, whispers of doubt have echoed through the halls of Philippine schools, with experts pointing fingers at a system bogged down by challenges that make teaching feel like pushing a boulder uphill. Classrooms overflow with up to 50 kids per teacher, but sources are scarce. Think outdated textbooks from the 90s gathering dust while the world zooms ahead with AI and digital tools. And curricula emphasize memorization over critical thinking, leaving students scoring near the bottom in global tests like PISA, where Filipino 15-year-olds ranked last in reading, math, and science among 79 countries in 2018. Teachers, often underpaid with starting salaries barely hitting $400 a month, juggle endless paperwork, family pressures, and burnout, while critics call their methods stagnant and uninnovative, rooted in colonial-era rote learning that stifles creativity and real-world skills. In online forums and reports, voices lament how the system clings to "basta sinabi ni teacher tama," whatever the teacher says is right, discouraging questions and fostering misinformation, especially when educators themselves lack training in modern pedagogy. Even government officials admit the K-12 program, meant to modernize things, has been plagued by congestion, resource shortages, and a disconnect from job market needs, turning classrooms into pressure cookers where innovation seems like a distant dream. But amid this storm of criticism, sparks of brilliance emerge from the very teachers labeled outdated, like Josette B.O., who in the late 90s transformed her humble Philippine Science High School classroom into a hub of discovery, despite limited labs and funds. Ignoring the naysayers who said rural Filipino teachers couldn't compete globally, she encouraged hands-on experiments with local flora, fostering curiosity that led her students to international science fairs, and her innovative approaches caught Intel's eye, earning her the 2002 award over thousands of nominees worldwide. A moment that silenced doubters and inspired a nation, with Planet B.O. now a symbol of how outdated methods can evolve into cosmic achievements. Fast forward to 2010, when physicists Christopher Bernido and May. Victoria Carpio Bernido, facing similar skepticism about Philippine education's rigidity, ditched traditional lectures at their Central Visayan Institute Foundation in Bohol, introducing a dynamic learning program that slashed class time to let students self-study with activity sheets, a radical shift from rote drills that boosted pass rates from 30% to 90% in national exams. Critics had called such rural setups backward, but the Bernidos' method, blending physics with real-life problem-solving, earned them the Ramon Magsaysay Award, Asia's Nobel equivalent, proving that innovation thrives in the unlikeliest places. their program now replicated in over 500 schools across the country. Then, there's Jesus Ensilada, a teacher from an indigenous community in Iloilo, who in 2018 shattered stereotypes by landing in the top 10 of the $1 million Global Teacher Prize, outshining 40,000 nominees from 173 countries. Facing criticisms that Filipino curricula ignored cultural roots and stuck to outdated Western models, Ensilada wove indigenous Pene Bukidnon traditions into lessons, teaching math through tribal weaving patterns and history via epic chants, turning a rundown school with no electricity into a cultural powerhouse where dropout rates plummeted and students won poetry contests abroad. His story, from scavenging scrap to build classrooms to global acclaim, highlights how teachers deemed outdated are actually cultural innovators, with founder Sonny Varkey praising his blend of heritage and education as a model for the world. Not far behind, Francis Jim Toscano made waves in 2017 as the only Filipino in the Global Teacher Prize Top 50, countering claims of tech illiteracy in Philippine schools by integrating iPads and coding into religious education at Xavier School in Abra. Skeptics said Filipino teachers lagged in digital tools, but Toscano's multi-touch iBook, a finalist in a U.S. conference, trained educators nationwide, showing how outdated pros can leap into the future, his blog sharing free resources that reached thousands globally. The pandemic amplified these triumphs, with teachers like Bryant Akar and Michelle Rubio earning top 50 spots in the 2021 Global Teacher Prize amid criticisms of the system's unreadiness for online shifts. Akar, biking 16 kilometers daily to a makeshift lab in Cebu, turned students into award-winning scientists despite resource woes, while Rubio in Sorsogon converted her car into a reading car for broadcast lessons, creating Resort for Learning beach-themed libraries to combat isolation. Their innovations, born from necessity, proved that even in crisis, Filipino teachers aren't outdated. They're resilient pioneers, with over 8,000 nominations worldwide, bowing to their grit. In 2020, 11 Filipino teachers swept awards in UNESCO APCU's Asia-Pacific Challenge, sharing stories of cultural exchanges that bridged gaps in a system often called isolated. Teachers like Jenipel Reyes from Bohol won for videos highlighting teacher exchanges with Korea, fostering global understanding amid local criticisms of parochial methods. A year later, Joanna B. Romero took honors in the Southeast Asian Educational Innovation Awards for her digital modules at a Quezon City elementary school, turning pandemic hurdles into interactive lessons that engaged thousands. These wins underscore a pattern. Despite brain drain, with thousands fleeing low pay for abroad, those who stay innovate fiercely, like Wendell Alvarez in the 2020's Top 50 Global Shortlist, using community farming to teach sustainability in Negroes. Abroad, Filipino teachers shine too, like Annalisa Perez Amarao in Thailand, winning 2011's Bagong Bayani Award for her reading research. Or Wendell Condino in the U.S., grabbing Aerospace Teacher of the Year in 2011 for rocketry programs. Back home, 2023's Filipina Achievers in Rural Education Awards celebrated teachers like those on Isla Anajawan, leading eco-programs that turned trash into art, proving rural outdated setups can spark environmental revolutions. Even in 2025, Bernadette Peña heads to New York for the Peace Award, honoring her multicultural teaching in U.S. schools. These stories flip the script on criticisms, showing how underfunded systems breed ingenuity, from bamboo labs to app-based learning, turning outdated into outstanding. Yet challenges linger, low budgets at 3–4% of GDP versus UNESCO's 6%, teacher shortages in remote areas, and a need for reforms like updating the Teachers' Professionalization Act to recognize diverse skills. Calls for higher pay, like P50,000 entry level, and adaptable curricula echo from groups like Alliance of Concerned Teachers, urging a shift from rote to relevant. In 2023's Matatag agenda, VP Sara Duterte pushed well-being and decongested lessons, but implementation drags amid post-COVID losses. Still, these award winners remind us Filipino teachers aren't relics, they're revolutionaries. Their victories a beacon that, with support, the system can soar. So next time you hear outdated, think of Planet Bio twinkling above, or Ensilada's chants echoing globally. Proof that from humble classrooms come world changers, and perhaps in cheering them, you'll spark the next big win.